Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this quick. But before we move on to what types and data types are in C++, we got to know what a type or data type is in computer programming. And they're classifications that dictate what a variable or object can hold and how the computer should interpret the data's value. There's a couple different types. So data types can be categorized into several different types, including primitive data types, composite data types, and user-defined data types. When we're talking about primitives, these include integers, floating point numbers, characters, and Boolean values. Whereas composite data types are collections or groupings of multiple data items into a single entity. And then your user defined ones are created by the programmer to suit specific needs, and that can include enumerated types and unions. Now, here we have our examples. So, examples of primitives. They're the built in types like integer, chars, float, and boolean. Are derived are types based on primitives, so your arrays, pointers, references, and functions. And your user defines are your custom types using things like struct, class, union, or enum. So now we're getting a little bit deeper into the common primitive data types. Your integer is a whole number. So an example would be 42 when counting or using numeric indexes. Your float is a single precision decimal point, something like pi 3.14 for basic real numbers with limited precision. Your double has double precision points. So that's your 3.14159265. It's when you need a higher precision for real numbers. Your char is a single ASCII character, example A or B or C. It's for text of individual characters. Your bool is your Boolean true false. So yes, no, true, false, 1, 0 for conditionals, flags, and binary states. Your unsigned is a non negative integer. So like 255U when only positive numbers are needed. Your long is for larger integers and it's for large whole numbers. But how? How do we choose what data type we need? So when choosing data types, you want to use the smallest amount for the job you need to get done, but it also has to be accurate. So if you're using integers, you use them when you're dealing with whole numbers. If you're using booleans, you're using them for true or false conditions. You don't need an integer for that. Use float or double for your decimals. So double is the default for more precision. But if you don't need that level of precision, stick with a float. Use your chars only for characters and not small integers. And it's whenever you only need a single one. And use unsigned types whenever you're never supposed to be using negative values. So you're indexing of arrays, for instance. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes size matters. So you need to know what the size of these basic data types are on most systems. So your char typically is 1 byte. Your bool or boolean is typically 1 byte. Your integer, typically 4 bytes. Your float, typically 4 bytes as well. Your double, typically 8 bytes. Your long, 4 to 8 bytes. And your unsigned integer 32, typically 4 bytes. Now, these sizes do vary on different systems. Now we got to learn how to control the flow. What is flow control? Specifically, what is flow control in C++? Because it varies from language to language. You're trying to make a decision, you're probably looking for something like an if or a switch. If you're trying to repeat your tasks, you're probably looking for a loop, which could be a for, while, or do while loop. And if you're trying to jump to other parts of code, you can use break, continue, or return. Without flow control, it kind of makes it hard to make your application do what it has to do without repeating code over and over again. So tell me why. Why would we use flow control? Well, you're using flow control because it allows your program to respond to conditions such as user input or errors, perform tasks multiple times, Probably looking for a loop. Or exit early when necessary. Condition met, why not just break out of that method or function or loop? Now that you know a little bit about flow control, it's time to figure out when to use each. So your if else, branches logic on conditions. Your switch, it's a clean multi-option selection, non-floating point, kind of like a menu. Your for is a definite number of iterations. So if you need somebody to count from 1 to 5, your while is an unknown number of iterations, usually has a condition. Your do while, it's a run at least once and check later to see if the condition is met. Your break or continue is to control loop flow in exceptions. And your return is to exit from a function. So just like before, we're going to create a basic hello application. And then we're going to take that hello world application and we're going to iterate through it, creating a more and more advanced application, hitting on some of these lessons that we've learned. So now we're going to define or declare different data types. Once we're that, we're going to move on to the next exercise. In this example, we're going to create and use a function. So now we want to add comments to our code. We're going to do a single and a multi-line example. So we're going to control the flow. But we're going to do it using a conditional. This conditional will be our if statement. So now we're going to tie it all together into one larger application where we're going to create a subnet calculator.